Welcome to the Black Hills Small Business Podcast. I'm Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty.
And I'm Angelia Dale with Gateway Mortgage. Join us as we sit down with Black Hills small business owners, learn about their businesses, and tell their stories.
We're doing it now on the Black Hills Small Business Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Black Hills Small Business Podcast. Hey, season 2, we made it. We're doing it.
2024.
We're making it happen. All right. So our first guest of this season is Daniel Bakke with Natural Painting Company. So Daniel, thanks so much for being with us here today, and we appreciate you coming.
Hey, I really appreciate being here. I'm really thankful you guys put this platform for small businesses to help each other and really to, if I can learn from somebody else, it avoids a mistake. But I know we were talking about failures a little bit earlier. It's important. So it's like, okay, failure is important. Let's learn it from other people. So hopefully our businesses kind of survive and still grow and not repeat the same failures, but also not be too scared to take that little risk and go for it. But,
100%. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about you, your family, your personal life.
Yeah. So actually, I was born and raised in Northern California. During 2008, a housing market crashed. Pretty crazy. I was actually homeless with our family. I was 18 at that time, still living at home, and we went homeless, but we had property in really northern Minnesota. So we moved there, and when I say northern, I mean like 30 miles from Canada. Yeah, it was northern. It was a whole different. We got into like the in-group, I guess you could say. They're like, who are these outsiders? There's a town of like 700 people. So,
right.
So we moved there. I was there for 4 or 5 years. Ended up meeting my wife there, and we've been married for almost 10 years. This next year will be our 10th, so we just celebrated our 9th, and I don't know, it's trying to think about the whole 10 year, what are we going to do, but yeah, I'm married almost 10 years, and then we moved down to the cities and Twin Cities area up until 2020, and during the whole pandemic thing and just all this crazy rioting stuff happening, and I was like, I don't think this is exactly a safe place to raise my family. But we moved to South Dakota and absolutely love it here. The hills, the people, it's amazing. That's one of the reasons I love being in my job. I get to make all these awesome relationships with people. I get to talk to lots of people. But I got 4 kids, so we moved 3 kids, like two kids, and then a toddler. Or he was still pretty much a baby. But running around walking. Yeah. And then we had our 4th here, a little girl. So we had 3 boys and then a little girl on the back end.
I know how that is. I got the 3 boys, and I had to have the girl. Once we got the girl done, I was like, okay, we're done. We got the girl.
Oh man. But yeah, so we've got the 4, and they're just absolute blessings in my life. But I guess kind of more of who I am would be, I'm really a strong, devoted Christian, Christ follower in the Bible. So if you were to take away my wife, as awesome as she is, and my kids, and boil me down to who I am, I would say I'm definitely a godly Christian man, looking in every way that I can bring blessings to other people. But I've been given so much from God, forgiveness of sins, that I can, be able to be generous with other people, and it's a little harder in some instances, and not so much. But yeah, so. Basically, we've kind of got to see the country, and I've been blessed enough to go see the world quite a bit, and I love America, best country in the world in my opinion. And but with all of that boiled down to really who I am is I'm a Christ-centered, godly man that tries to do my best in following the scriptures and following who Jesus is and how he taught. And the really cool, interesting thing is, as I studied the Bible, I'm seeing all the even business principles that are, as I've been practicing in my own business, just seeing how awesome the time proven they are and beneficial they are. So I guess it'd be a short summation of kind of who I am, and I'm also, I guess, a business owner. But I guess all that stuff is just the extra stuff. But who I am is a Christian following Christ, but also get to be a business owner, which I've been really loving the last year and a half. So.
Awesome. So tell us about your business. What services do you offer? What products do you offer?
So
tell us more about that.
So yeah, I actually I'm the owner of the natural painting company. So I paint. I also do handyman services and whatnot. But I've been doing that for at least 6 or 7 years, just for different people, through my business and my work that I was working with, just all these handyman stuff and painting, and then it got to the point where I was like, I really kind of really want to do this on my own, and it was a really like scary time for my wife.
Yep.
She was like, man, women typically like security. I'm sure you would.
I'm totally opposite. My husband started his own company. He's like, I've never been unemployed. It's like, no, you're self-employed.
Yeah,
do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's responsible for my own hours. Yeah. So, but yeah, for my wife, she was just like, okay, well, we did a lot of praying and we did a lot of soul searching, and the nice thing is she has a business major, and so she's okay. You need this. I'm like, whoa. So I'm really the pusher, and she's just kind of the reins me in quite a bit. So we're the perfect team.
Good balance.
I love it. Yeah. So she would give me lots of ideas of what to think. Oh no, you don't want to get into that because then you need to get this licensing. And I'm, oh okay, But on the down, I'm in the customer service industry and in the category of painting and handyman work. So I really love being able to get to know people and work with them in their homes. So I do businesses, I do apartments, I also do people's homes, and going into their like really super sacred spots and in their most intimate areas of the home, like. And I've been in some people's homes. They haven't, their spouse died, and they want to refresh it up and just basically honoring the home, honoring their story, and trying to bring life into it, and trying to make it as comfortable as possible. Because I'm sure with real estate, sometimes it really can get people freaked out a little bit.
Yep.
When there needs to be change, or they're going to make a wrong decision, and oh, there's so much money and whatnot. But it's just part of the customer service is making sure they're happy, they're comfortable. And if I don't get 10 stars or 11 stars above and beyond, I don't feel like I did my job. So
sounds like us.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Customer service is big with both of us. So it's natural painting. So how did you come up with your name?
Well, with natural painting, I was looking at different painting companies, and I was as I was getting this idea, kind of like, well, I want to do painting and handyman. I'm like, well, what do I call myself? Bakke painting And I was like, I don't know, what's something that kind of clicks, or I don't know. So I started looking at all these other painting companies, and I'm like, you know what? Nobody has a natural, and I'm just naturally gifted to do that. And I was also focusing on the extremely low VOCs or the no VOCs in paint. So you can paint in a toddler's room, baby's room, without having to stink and really cause a issue where you got to air it out for a couple of weeks or whatever. It's just... And I really appreciate working with paint like that too, because it doesn't give me a headache all the time. I actually joked with my wife. I said, for all the different apartment complexes and stuff, they have their paints picked out already. I'm like, I almost should offer basically a fee for painting with other brands. So I actually like to work with Benjamin more, and I do the really high like Regal and Aura and all those high-end paints, just because it makes my job so much easier, and it looks so much better, and it lasts so much longer for the customer. So yeah, getting back to how I got to the name, it was I wanted it to be as natural as possible, something that feels good when you say it. Natural painting company. It's not commercial painting, a little more rigid or something, but also wanted it to be just a pleasant experience for everyone involved, something that's more natural, it's more organic, kind of things like that. But yeah, so I started there, and I started looking at different paints and so after I had the idea, I want it clean and nice and not as least damaging as possible, and then getting the kind of the products in view of that. And I found Benjamin Moore, they offered 0 VOC, which is below the safe, the considered safe limit, or considered 0. So technically there's like 0.00 stuff VOCs, but in any case, so I went through that aspect of it and got my name picked out, and then Had a wonderful mother-in-law that just bought me some shirts and got that all in there. And with my wife and I, we went through a few logos and back and forth, and went kind of more of like errors and what do you call it? It's trial and error. Thank you. Trial and errors with I don't like how that one looks, or I don't like how this one looks in that color. And so we got different business cards and whatnot, and then we kind of settled on my mother-in-law, which she helps me a lot. She's an interior designer, so it's awesome to have that kind of that brain to pick when I need to. So that's kind of how I end up with the trees and the background and all that. Just something kind of more natural, and it might be confusing, but as I'm learning, I've been in this business now, owning my own business for about a year and a half. So it's been trialing and erring and constantly improving, and just looking at myself to see what can I do better, how can I make the customer happier, how can I, continue to grow, and eventually I have one employee. He's a part-time employee. But as soon as I get full-time employees to support their families and serve them and whatnot, so there's a lot of growing. I said that's a long answer to how did you pick your name?
But it's a good name because, like I said, if you think about natural, like I said, you think about the natural products, especially for people who are sensitive to that kind of thing too. But then you also, like I said, you put that little bit of twist on it, going into somebody's house and making them feel comfortable and natural for you to be in there, rather than going in all white suits and.
Yeah, exactly. I like that's one of the things I love, going into the home, figuring out the colors. What is it you want? Well, I don't like this color. Like, okay, what kind of colors do you like? And one customer, he said, well, do you like this color? I said, hey, it's your house, it's your guys' preference. He goes, well, if I said, I'm going to tattoo my face, well, is that it's my face? I'm like, I get what you're saying. You want me to know. So that was part of learning too, of guiding somebody. These colors look good together. This doesn't clash with that, and so sometimes pointing that out is really helpful to the customer. And
I'd have no idea.
Did you get your mother-in-law involved in that part?
Especially early on. She goes, don't do this with that, and this color is more for this. So I do pick her brain, especially in that. But early on, I was on the phone a lot with her, so it's nice to have when I got her on like a. The video chat.
Tell me what you do here.
Exactly.
Yeah. So. When our daughter moved out and we decided to make her bedroom into a meditation room, my wife has a hard time seeing colors. She needs to see it on the wall. I think we went through 10 little samples to find the right color. See, it took a long time.
Yeah, the samples saved me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. People get the little square, that they hold up and they're like, I think I like this one.
Yeah, and you get all over the place, and it's a whole different story.
Oh yeah. I thought I could get away from the samples because I was being cheap, and this is for our own house. So I was like, I saved myself $6. My wife wants this color, so I got the gallon, and we did our daughter's room, and she goes, this looks too pink.
Yep.
And because we like pink for the little girl, and she's such a girly girl. Oh my goodness, get her in her dress. She just holds it. She looks like, oh yeah. She loves those colors. So Sierra's like, I don't know, it's just a little too pink. So I'm like, doggone it, I gotta go buy another gallon.
And do the whole room again.
Exactly. So I had to do the whole room again. So, but samples, oh yeah, saves so much money. I charge a little bit for the sample and the driving and whatnot, but it's way cheaper than buying 7-8 gallons of this color,
And then not liking it,
Yeah, not liking it, and then having to buy. One customer that I did, they liked the sample color what I do is I paint
a big splash
in several areas, different where the light's going to hit in different areas, so they get that. But then they had admitted too that it's so hard for them to see it till it is, and they're like, I really don't like it. So I got one of their friends in on it as well. I said, that's fine, we can do this, we can go over it again, we don't want you. And she definitely was in a place and time of her life where she didn't mind taking the risk of just painting the whole thing again. And it was, so she said, absolutely, it doesn't matter, I don't mind the cost. So I said, okay, well, let's get a friend, because I didn't want to have to do it a third time. So we got one of her friends and her, and we did it as a 3. This is like, these colors are good. So that she picked a color theme, and And so then we finally settled on a color, and then it took me a couple of days, her living rooms, her kitchen, her hallways, and then a stairway. So it took me about 2 days to get it done. And when she looked at it, she goes, I think it's definitely better than the next one, but I think it's going to take me a day. And this was her and her friend agreed, and I agreed it was going to be a great color. And the next day I was there, she goes, actually, I do love it, the way the sunset hits. And so sometimes it takes a little time.
Yeah,
and so usually if somebody isn't happy, I'm like, well, give it a week. We can always reschedule. And I usually throw like a discount on top of it, having to repaint and stuff, and a returning customer, because I want them to be happy and I want them to get what they. I don't
You're
want
going to live with that for quite
I know.
a long time.
I want exactly. I don't want them to see me like, oh, that's the guy that painted my house the wrong color. And so I try to make it as an awesome experience, a painless experience, and just a wonderful, happy experience for them. So, and sometimes that might require a lot more time on the front end to get that color picked out. Which, when you're making friends, it doesn't seem like the time. Time goes by really quick. So,
I'm just surprised you got all those rooms done in 2 days, because I paint. And my family card came from a painter. It's like, oh, I cannot paint. It takes me weeks to paint. Trim everything out, do this. I decided I'm not.
It was like a 2-story. It was 15-foot walls too. So yeah, it was. Thankfully, I wasn't doing the ceiling, but
yeah, knocked that out pretty fast then.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, there's definitely different challenges, but big thing too is like I said, I've been doing it for like 5-6 years, but I was like, you know what? I want to learn from other painters that have been in the actual industry of painting. And so I learned a lot of techniques from other professional painters, and that's one thing I really like about your podcast too, about you guys going to other businesses. I think a question you guys almost should ask is, what are lessons learned? Something that we can all like glean from. But I'm a big researcher, so we did a lot of research on the front end, and I found like, oh yeah, there's a lot more to this than just meets the eye. And so getting into it, I started with friends at first, at the house, and doing the different techniques and whatnot. I'm like, wow, this does it. You can really get along a lot quicker with different techniques, different tools,
Right. The right tools.
The right tools, yeah. The right brush. There's different stiffnesses in brushes and the right applications. And they got the oval, you got the angle, you got the stiff brush, you got the soft brush. So those, yeah,
so
and
you're still painting with brushes. You're not spraying.
No, I don't spray, and that's something I'm looking down the road more for, like an exterior type. But in a lot of applications on exterior, you still need to have a roller, even when you do spray, or a brush to brush in between where the spray doesn't get. So part of me was like, okay, why should I take the extra time to tape everything and plastic everything, and I'm just going to roll and brush. And it's really hasn't really cost me a lot of time in the long run, but I can see that in really big projects where a sprayer would really benefit. So, but I'm not at that spot yet, but I find homeowners really appreciate not hauling a sprayer in their home and taping it so they can still utilize the home. They can still feel like their whole home isn't upended while I'm painting. I do section off a few areas sometimes and cover all their furniture, and then I clean up each day. There's been a couple of customers saying, oh, just leave it, you'll be here in the morning. So I'm like, well, I can clean, whatever, it's up to you. So sometimes I have left the drop cloths over the furniture and stuff. They're like, yeah, we're not in that room. So I'm like, okay, I'll be here tomorrow. But yeah, I like to leave it as if I never showed up, except for like where I stopped in the rooms and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah.
Lots of painting going on. I need to paint my house again. The inside.
Again?
Well, the inside. I used to change every year. My husband, you'd love this story. I had 9 different colors of blue in 16-inch squares on one wall. And he had to mark out all those patterns out for me, and we painted every one of them.
That's my mother-in-law. An interior designer. The first thing that happens is inside their home. So I mean, the house has got to look perfect. And I love her so much, and she's just a fun person to be around. And so when you go over to her house, it looks like you literally walk into a magazine. So I'm like, it's kind of intimidating. Like, don't come into our house. I got 4 kids under 8.
You'll get there after they're out of the school.
Right. So, but yeah, as far as that goes, finishing where I left. Yeah, cleaning and keeping the house looking, livable. And then when it's all said and done, one thing, I love it, that magazine feel when people walk in and they're like, oh. Sometimes a lot of people have to clean a lot of their stuff out, and they're like, do we have to put it back? We like it just nice and clean. And
You like that when you sell a house, it's all clean and fresh and
they got the clean and fresh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So what is it that you love about doing business in Rapid City, in the Black Hills?
Oh, one thing is the people are awesome. I mean, during COVID, it was pretty difficult because I was a contractor for Renewal by Anderson over there, and it was really difficult. And I was blessed enough to even still have a job to be able to work in that. But I think there was a lot of people who were scared and afraid. And one thing when we moved still, and it was still going, the COVID and stuff. But we got to South Dakota. And it was just awesome to see how friendly everyone was, how kind everyone was. I mean, before, almost like when I was, Minnesota's a great state too. Now, don't get me wrong and stuff, but it felt like you had to have a bubble around you the whole time. But when you came here, it was just like, wow,
nothing's changed.
It's wonderful. Yeah, there's nothing changed. You can do business. I felt like it was wonderful. So that was part of like just the friendliness, the freedom really that South Dakota offers to businesses and to customers, being able to continually to do your thing. And so that was one thing I really loved about doing business in the Black Hills. Part of the other thing I love about doing business in the Black Hills is, again, because people are so friendly, and my job is customer service, so it's a very easy job. Making people happy. You guys seem to be really simple here. I mean, it's not like we're asking for the moon. I mean, and that's another thing. It's the difficult side is, we know we're not asking for the moon. We want this sometimes. So it's if something goes wrong or whatever. I've had a batch of paint that gets mixed up wrong, and I'm like, that happens, because I'm like, that's the color swatch, that's the paint. No, that's So being able to go with the punches, I guess, and be able to deliver the expectations. But doing business in the Black Hills, first off, you got the Black Hills, you got the people, you've got just a wonderful state, and fairly easy to run a business here, and there's not a lot of regulations and restrictions. It's you let the customer say, okay, you're an awesome business or you're a horrible business, and you let the people kind of decide what thrives and what grows and what doesn't. And so since I've become a business owner, I've really I love like picking everybody's brains that owns a business, and I've been into mostly chocolates and Roger Fry's paint store, but and even hearing on some of your podcasts, the smaller business, I hear somebody does something. Oh, really? How long have you been doing that for? And a year and a half, or 2 years, or 10 years, or 20 years, and wow, that's exciting. What do you guys learn? I love learning from other businesses, and I love being able to just be able to be one of the family kind of here.
Right.
And it's just wonderful. It's like a community of business owners, and everybody looks out for each other, and people are like, yeah, we're willing to offer you discounts if you buy through us. And it's just, same deal. I offer discounts to businesses, it's like, this is awesome. We look out for each other, we help each other, and it's just the love and just the community sense of the Black Hills is really strong, and I love it.
Well, you go in and you'll see somebody, they recognize you, and that's kind of nice. It's like, oh yeah, you came in the other day, like I said, if you frequented more than a couple times, kind of thing. So, yeah, very, very friendly, oriented that way.
Yep.
So,
any challenges that you've encountered working in the Black Hills?
Honestly, one of the biggest challenges, and this probably isn't specific to the Black Hills, but the biggest challenge that I've had to face in running a business is honestly myself. I've realized I've had to change, because I think that's probably why most people, everyone's different. Everybody loves what they do, and most everybody loves what they do. I almost wonder, why doesn't everybody start business? It's awesome. It's fun. It's exciting. It's adventurous, and you have to learn so much. You get to be around it all. I think all these pluses, but really it comes down, it's a big challenge to yourself. You need to constantly improve. You need to constantly change and learn. Otherwise, you're going to literally get stuck in the 50s or something, and
you got to show up.
You got to show up. You got to learn.
Yep.
So that would be the biggest challenge for me is, okay, what can I do better? What can I learn from somebody else? How can I make this experience better? And I've had to read a lot of books, and I've had to, my best asset would be my wife, to being able to run things by her. And whenever she gets a feeling, I know it's going to cost me big. So being able to learn from her, listen to her, has been awesome. So
yeah, and then you get the, I told you to do this. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, early on in my marriage, I was like, she doesn't know about this side of stuff, and whatever. I don't know how they know, but they know.
We know 95% of most everything.
I think I still hold out. I think I still hold out because I want to be that 5%. This may be that 5%. Who knows?
We'll give you a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I told you that. I mean, I'm not going to tell you again, but okay.
Yeah, no, looking back especially, like, she told me not to. Well, I listened. Well, praise God I listened, because I looked back like, that would have been disastrous. So, I don't know how she knew, but she knew.
Yep.
So lots of those. So I'm learning a little bit more. I'm not quite there yet. Like I said, I still hold out for that 5% sometimes, and I need to write it down the fridge because it's probably that frequent. When I am right, like that was the one time I can.
Yep. All right. Last 2 minutes. We're gonna let you do your thing. So 2 minutes. Let us know what's your biggest lesson that you've learned in your small business.
Oh, biggest lessons that I've learned.
Aside from listening to your wife.
Well, I think the biggest lessons I've learned is really, as a small business, to rely on the Holy Spirit. I really, I look at my business as God's business. It really is. He can take it away, drop of the hat, flick of the finger. It could be gone. And I realize, okay, what am I doing to honor God in all my business? Do I feel good about this job and the price of this job? Will I be proud of it? Will God be proud of it? That's more important. And last 2 minutes, so I'll try not to get into the longest sermon, but really for a small business, I would say the biggest thing would be that is learning to, because that just is so, it's easy to have rules and sets and stuff. When you're learning to really rely on the Holy Spirit, rely on God's word, it's sometimes scary. You don't know why God's telling you to do that, but you do it, and then you look back, you're like, yeah, he was right. I'm glad I listened. And the times I haven't, I've seen it blow up, like where I knew it. I prayed about it, and I knew I wasn't supposed to do that, and there it is. So all those times, but I would say that was probably the biggest lesson learned. Another big lesson is learning to listen to other people, accept feedback, as uncomfortable as it is, learning to learn from your mistakes or failures. Times I'm like, okay, you always have your side. I know I'm right on this, but okay, let me look at it from their perspective, and then I'm like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have did this better. I could have communicated here a little bit better. And there's so many angles you learn from just learning to listen to what other people have to say, because in their mind they're right, in your mind you're right, but it takes somebody to have to stop and listen to the other side. So.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Daniel. Appreciate you being here and sharing your story and about your business. And we'll see you all next time on the Black Hills Small Business Podcast.
I hope you enjoyed that story as much as we did.
We'll put all the contact information of every business in the show notes or the description below. Be sure to check them out and support our local small businesses.